Wow, it's Be Set Free at 3.
Hello everybody, welcome to Be Set Free at 3.
And today we're having a slightly different approach.
Yes.
We want to talk about toxic relationships, especially in the family context, and setting boundaries.
Yeah. And I will just translate in German for those who are watching maybe in German.
Right.
Ich werde nur ganz kurz auf Deutsch übersetzen. Heute wird das ganze Gespräch eher auf Englisch ablaufen, weil Robbie und ich es im Grunde wie eine Art Gespräch broadcasten wollen. Es geht um toxische Beziehungen, um Beziehungen vielleicht sogar innerhalb der Familie, die uns nicht gut tun. Und und wir bleiben heute auf Englisch, aber sollte da irgendein Bedarf sein, wir kriegen gerade Besuch, dass das Ganze auf Deutsch übersetzt wird, dann meldet euch, dann broadcasten wir das Ganze auch nochmal auf Deutsch mit einer Übersetzung oder ich werde eine schriftliche Zusammenfassung festhalten. Okay, willkommen an alle.
And today we normally go a lot into scripture, but today we're going to just have a conversation.
Yes, we're going to have a conversation about can your own family, maybe your father, your mother-in-law, or even your own children, be toxic?
That's right. And the more I speak to other people about this, the more I'm convinced that this is almost a pandemic where family toxicity really puts people under what we call almost interrelational blackmail, where children, for example, ex-spouses, for example, other family members always try and play an emotional game, put one in emotional bondage.
Yes. And one thing is about Christians, you know, you can easily get into that trap thinking, well, now as a Christian, I must love everybody, even those who are my enemies, who intend to harm me, who are toxic. Well, because Jesus gave us that great commandment to love everybody, even our enemies. And today we're going to give you a few scriptures and putting that perspective right, because yes, there is a truth in it, but there is also something that you got completely wrong, and we're going to clarify a little bit. Remember that Jesus also said, don't cast your pearls before what?
The hog.
Because they are going to trample on it and they're not appreciating what you have to give.
And of course, we've got our great friend here as well. It's just popped in to be if you could say, a live audience.
Yeah.
Someone just come and say hi to us here, just pop your head in. Just in the meantime, just quickly. There we go. Side, everybody, Shawnee.
Hi everyone. It's what a blessing to be here. I just arrived from the West Coast. Yeah. Well, what an interesting topic.
That's right.
Well, I can relate to that.
Yes. How?
And because you know, when you have children that you love, especially in broken marriages broken up, and
That's
so on.
Right.
You got it that almost like it's like a burden. It become like a burden.
Yes.
Right.
When it's on you, because you always reminded that you do not enough.
Right.
You doesn't care enough.
Right.
In fact,
not giving enough money,
not giving enough attention, which is not
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It becomes a blame shift or a blame shifting game.
Wonderful.
And you never get out of it.
You never get out of it.
That's what we talk about today.
Yes, awesome.
About that situation, how to get out of it. And a great welcome as well to Cairncross from East London, and our friend
Giovanni, my Italian compagno. Ciao Giovanni, come stai?
I'm going to sit.
Yes, okay, thanks Shawnee.
Thanks,
That's
Shawnee.
so interesting. Sean didn't even know what we are going to talk about, and immediately he said, I can relate to that.
A friend of mine told me the other day about the relationship she has with her daughter.
Yes.
Her daughter is now 34 years old. She stays at home. She stays at this lady's house, her mother's house.
At the age of 30?
Yeah. She doesn't work.
Oh, wow.
No work. She expects her mom to pay for everything, even though she's drawing a maintenance from her ex-husband. She pays nothing.
What?
Yeah.
And I know now you're talking. Yeah. We're not going to.
We're not mentioning names. We're just giving examples.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. We're giving examples.
That's right.
And it's not only that these are our friends. We could also talk about toxic friends. We all know about that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing now is about the toxic relationship here, probably between a mother and a child, which is an adult, supposed to care for herself. Is she sick? And I think she's not.
No, she's not sick. She's not sick.
There's nothing wrong with her.
And so what happens, some children, for example, overplay the support of the parents. In other words, it doesn't matter their age.
Yeah.
They're there to see what they can get. They should be out working. They should be out earning a living. They should be out earning their support. But no, they don't. They sit at home, drop anchor at home, lying on the couch, just waiting for mother to come and to see what she can have to eat.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? Parents can easily feed this attitude of children because it only works both-sided. And I remember a German friend of mine. She has now passed on to glory, and she was a beautiful, beautiful sister in the Lord to me. And she had a daughter who was, for many years, she took drugs, and she had a daughter and two how do you say, Zwillingen. Siblings, yeah, that she got from two different dealers. Right. So now this daughter, well, maybe, you know, I'm not blaming now anyone because you can quickly
we're
get
not pointing fingers here, we're just giving examples.
So you can quickly get into such a situation and then you might need help. Right. But this daughter now, when she was 35, 38, now, you know, whenever her car, for example, broke down, she phoned her parents, not even asking them, please, can you help? I'm going to refund. Just at the moment, it's not possible. I appreciate you guys so much that you're always there for me. Nothing. I need a new car. So she was immediately expecting her parents to pay, to refund. And you know what? They did it. And then she didn't even say thank you.
There we are, in that cycle, in that toxic cycle. Not even saying thank you. There's a friend of ours we know very well. This parent, the husband and the wife, Sean, built them a home, bought them a plot, built them a home, in the same estate that they live.
Wow. Yeah.
The daughter doesn't even have the decency to speak to her mother today.
Wow.
There's no argument.
She doesn't even know why.
She doesn't know why.
Yeah. Now she was full in tears and very sensitive. It broke her heart. Until then she started speaking. We started speaking about Jesus and his peace. And now she got out of it saying, well, I understand now that my daughter has chosen this life. And whatever now is wrong on her side, as from my side, I keep my peace. I carry on with my life. I cannot. And she kind of cut this unhealthy bond with her daughter. And now she's much better. And you know what? You've got to love your neighbor, or even your daughter, your mother, your brother, as you love yourself. If you're not loving yourself first,
that's right.
Then and you are now thinking you love others, but then in actual fact you are allowing them to constantly cross boundaries and do with you whatever they want, and that you must not.
Interesting. Angela found when she came to South Africa, especially to Cape Town, this thing. We're very hospitable. We love inviting people over.
Yes.
Right. We love saying, "Hey, come for coffee," and we mean it. Yes. But here in Cape Town, for example, I don't know if you've experienced that anywhere else where you might be, but here in Cape Town, for example, Adrian, people always say, we must meet for coffee.
Sometime, oh, you're wonderful, great. And then it never happens.
Never happens.
Uncommitment.
But you have them over.
Yes.
You have them over.
Yes.
Huh? But there's never really a reciprocation.
Yeah.
That's also a little bit of a...
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if that happens twice or 5 times, or, you know, because I love hosting people. But then if it happens again and again and again, and over 2-3 years you keep inviting and others never, you know, then it's not that, you know, now very holy religious people might say, yeah, but you must give without expecting back. Well, what do you have to say?
What's a relationship? A relationship is a two-way thing. Huh? You give, they give. You don't give to get. You give because you
and Jesus died on that cross for you. But the moment you don't receive it with a grateful heart, that is appreciation, isn't it? Then it won't have any power or effect in your life.
That's right. Now, into something else. You had an experience in March 2020. 2020.
In March?
Yeah, in March 2020, March last year.
Yeah,
My wife went to Germany because her mum was ill, right? And she was in Germany by herself for 8 months. Okay, there's some family members there. And you had an experience as well, a pretty toxic experience there, right?
Oh, well, there were a few. I must say, in my own family, you know, when, of course, you expect, if, for example, a family member has a birthday and it's even a 50th birthday or a round birthday, you know, I was there all by myself. And yeah, I remember that I told you that I was very sad that I didn't get invited. So, and since I had a couple of experiences in that way, that I would say I'm an includer. I love including people. Even if I have an exclusive meeting and appointment with a best friend, and I see my sister or my brother or whoever now being there sad and alone or all by themselves, I would always say, come, join and let's share. Whereas I had to learn now that other people are different. Even people of my own family. They, for example, that one family member, she likes to exclude in the sense of, well, it's my right. I can invite who I want. What can I say about that? So, but you know what? Instead of now not learning my lesson, I didn't think of, because it's not biblical, you know, you don't go for revenge. Of course not. That even can make your heart very hard and bitter. And that is toxic then for yourself.
Yeah.
But I thought about it, that, you know, sometimes I've got to walk away from people who just don't let me into their lives and who constantly exclude me, and then it hurts me. And to set a boundary can help me not to even allow them anymore to do this to me.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned.
That's what you learned.
Yes.
Wow.
But Robbie, you had, or are still having the same experience now,
right.
Also in your
that's
family.
Right, yeah. That's right. You know, for example, my daughter, right, would make an arrangement that we'd meet.
Yes.
I don't see often that we'd meet. I'd arrive there, she wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Or she'd say we meet at a certain time in a certain place. I remember we invited her one, we had to wait an hour.
Yeah. Or she's often postponing, and when then the time reaches, then she either doesn't show up, or she comes late, and she does it constantly.
But when they need you, it's always a heart. Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
$150. So you feel at the end of the day like a ATM.
Yeah.
Giovanni says, got to run, guys. Love you and love your faithfulness. God bless you. God bless you, brother. You too. We'll meet sometime for coffee. So now, for example, the straw that broke the camel's back was she wanted to work. My one daughter wanted to work badly. Well, let me go back a step. My eldest daughter, I send her to school, private school.
College.
I send her to one of the most expensive beauty colleges here in Cape Town. She, after a while, she gets a diploma. Well, that's another story, but she gets a diploma. And then, you know what? She doesn't work. She wants to sit at home waiting for handouts.
But you encouraged her, you motivated her.
I found her jobs.
You got her two jobs.
That's
she
right.
she declined. She refused.
So what do you do then?
Yeah.
I want to bring them both together now. So my other daughter, and sorry, this is not a bitching. This is not a time where we are just slating family. This is not so.
No,
this
it's
is
not. We just want to give you examples.
We want to give you examples of toxic relationships.
It's better to speak from ourselves, so that maybe you can relate or identify with it.
We started from people that we know, and we've got a little closer to ourselves. And if you're honest and authentic, you'll also start admitting if those do exist in your life, you see. So my youngest daughter, who's now 17, couldn't find a job in Cape Town this December. Couldn't find a job. So what I do is I set up, amongst other reasons, a coffee shop for her here at West Coast Guest House, Graceland. I open it to employ her. So she's supposed to start at the one date. No, she can't come because she's meeting friends, and she'll come at another date, right? So eventually, a week or 10 days later, she finally arrives. Now, you feel like you're in a begging position.
Exactly. With her whole attitude, she already shows that she doesn't want to be here. Yeah. She's kind of forced to be here. Now you try to accommodate her. You buy Nutella and Coke and say, well, make a nicey, cozy bed for her and everything. But now maybe you have to also criticize, well, please, could you and can you, and then...
hang on, honey. Hang on, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, sorry. What do you do?
And so now she was supposed to report for duty, if you're in inverted commas. I said to her, look, you must make a distinction here. I'm your dad and your boss, but when you're working in working hours, I'm your boss. Yes. So you got to start at 7 o'clock in the morning because the guests come back down for breakfast. Well, at 8:20, she comes down the steps. 8:20. So now we must be all joyful and say, wow, it's so wonderful that you're here. So I say, please, tomorrow morning, you've got to be here at 7 o'clock. At about 6:30, I give her the first call. Remember 7 o'clock?
Yes.
I call her 5 times. 5 times. And every time, she doesn't come. She comes down those steps again at 8:10. Oh. The table is set downstairs. I said, who set that table? No, Angela set it. I said, fantastic. Who was supposed to set it? Now comes the attitude.
Yeah, not even sorry or
not
something
even sorry.
like that.
No, sorry, Dad, I just... So I said, I tell you what. Pack your stuff. I take you home. And when you change your attitude, then we talk again.
Yeah. And then what started was, 3 or 4 months, no contact, no relationship, nothing. And now, the question is, as a Christian now, you think, wow, let me do the first step because I'm a Christian and I love my daughter and I should maybe. But you know what? What we want to tell you today is don't make yourself a beggar in a relationship. As Robbie rightly said, it must be from both sides. Remember that Jesus, he tried so hard to get in connection with a love and mercy and compassion with the Jewish, with his people. And then he stood there in front of Jerusalem crying and saying, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often did I wanted to gather you under my wings like a
mother get
exactly, but you did not want, and now he left them and did not force them.
That's right.
And sometimes there are times where we've got to let people be and not force them to be into a relationship they don't want, they reject it, and they actually are not putting anything in.
That's right. So, and it's a great lesson as well to teach your children to be self-sufficient, right? Yes. So I withdrew from my daughter. I let her carry on. Let her, in her time, let her contact me.
But the important thing is that Robbie, I really observed him. There was not any frustration, no bitterness, not even sadness. He knew what he has sown in his daughter, and he knew now it's time to withdraw. But he did that, and that is important. Whenever you withdraw, you don't do that ever in bitterness, unforgiveness, and with a heart of, the way you harden yourself. Because of course we are always open for them. If they want to come back home, like the prodigal son, our arms are wide open.
Of course they are. And of course she did. She gave me a call and we'll be getting it together again.
Yes.
Which is important because she now knows the standard. Yes. She now knows the boundary of this relationship. Yes. Right? Yeah. That I'm not there to be pushed around. I'm not there to be an ATM. Oh yeah, the other day she asked for $150. Right?
Even to borrow.
No, yeah. And I said no. Relationship first.
Yes.
And I hope this teaches her a lesson in future life that they're not like leeches. They're your children.
And please do not even think now again, if you're coming from the religious standpoint, you can say, "What? But this is conditional love." No, it's tough love. Because you in actual fact, you cannot love anybody, not even your own children, not even your parents, if you don't love yourself first, but not in an arrogant, selfish or narcissistic way.
It's not to hurt, it's to teach.
Exactly. We must to cut the word in a, how do you say that in English?
separate.
To separate, you know, because the word of God is sharper than a two-edged sword and cuts, you know, the feelings and the mind and the flesh perspective from the spirit.
Right.
And sometimes you need to get up and leave in order to make the person on the other side, whether it's your father or your daughter, the other side of the let me call it seesaw, you know, where children play with, to make them realize that you have been carrying them the whole time. And if you continue doing that, you are actually in a codependent relationship, like staying with an alcoholic person that is constantly beating you. Well, it's your choice. You can stay there, and sometimes you're not even open for advice to get out of the toxic relationship because you love being needed in someone's life. You understand? So, and that's why you have to learn to love yourself first. Sometimes you've got to set boundaries so that others start appreciating what they have in you. So, and this is what we want to teach you today.
That's right. And I mean, we've got Chantal Buffet with us today, and she really knows what tough love is, and she really knows love. She adopted 2 children, and
oh wow!
And she's done a wonderful job in their lives. And I mean, she contacted me one day with at that stage was a teenage, so I'm not going to mention names, came and spent some time with me. And there he met the Lord as his personal Savior. He's turned out to be a wonderful young man. But she, as a mother, realized what a child needed and acted accordingly, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we need to do, act accordingly.
And that's, you know what, me being a teacher for 20 years, one thing I also learned is that you need discernment in everything. There are children who need your grace, your patience, your love, your attention. That's when they open up. And there are other children. They're just completely different. They need boundaries, discipline, showing them an example. You know, you teach them how to be respectful, and you say, well, this is now, it's going to stop here unless you change your attitude, So it's very important that you always first try to find out what kind of person are you dealing with. You understand? You cannot, it's not a formula.
Yes,
and why is it that sometimes we as Christians also struggle to love? Well, bad experience that brought bitterness and fear or unforgiveness, and then we don't want to be vulnerable anymore, and we build a wall of protection around our heart. And that is can also become quite toxic. So we are not talking about this kind. This does not mean that then you love yourself if you do that. Let me read to you Proverbs 11:17. It says, "The merciful man does good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubles his own flesh." And we know also from Proverbs that a crushed spirit dries out the bones. So, you know, then there is, you open a door for depression or even for physical sickness. And to be merciful and generous toward your own soul. And these are aspects of love. They will also return as a blessing to you, and it will keep your heart from becoming poisoned. That is very, very important.
That's right. And so you've got to look after yourself first, because if you break down, you can't be there for anybody, right?
Exactly.
And so John 12:20 says this, "Now among those that went to the worship at the feast were some Greeks. These came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and they made a request, 'Sir, we desire to see Jesus.' And Philip came and told Andrew. Then Andrew and Philip together went and told Jesus." And this is what Jesus said. He said, Jesus answered them, "The time has come for the Son of Man to be glorified and exalted." In other words, he never met them. He kept them at a distance for the time that is right. And likewise with our children, of course we meet them, but with our children, we know something that they don't know yet. In other words, we've already been around the corner.
That's true.
We've been around some blocks before they even get to the first corner. And so we know what they need.
Yes.
Jesus knew what they need. They needed to see Jesus crucified and resurrected to know the real Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
And likewise with our children, we need to have a distance. Sometimes, in order for them to be taught what is around the corner.
But let me also mention, I don't want to fail to mention, that the toxic part can also come from a mother, a father, or a mother-in-law or a father-in-law. Them now trying to abuse their children and taking it for granted that their children must do everything for them. They've got to serve them, they've got to care for them, they've got to be there for them. The parents never acknowledging that the children have an own life, and then they meddle too often and maybe always give their opinion, expect from you everything, and never really acknowledge or appreciate what you have been doing for them. Because this was also my experience. So it can even be that a person that is older than you, even your own parent, that, you know, they're also kind of drawing a lot from you. And then at the end, you feel kind of all energy has left you. And the only thing that stays back with you is frustration, disappointment, sadness, and still you don't see that your parents really love and appreciate you. And you know what? Here again, it's the same. It's applicable now the other way around. You've just got to identify if there is a narcissistic person around you, either from your parents' side or from your children's side. Because there are sometimes in life those who are givers, but they then are tempted to give all the time without setting boundaries. And then there are takers, you know, who only see to draw the benefit out of you without even ever appreciating you or giving anything back. So, and this is where we want to point today, because it is very, very important that you identify the matter. And maybe we can close with that example that my brother always used to comfort me. Him saying, listen, Angela, there are those you cannot else but love them. Especially those who are nice to us and appreciate us. Well, it's easy to love them, right? So, but then there is a second group, which Jesus was mentioning when he called us to love even those we don't like, or even our enemies. And then you'd have to love them in the Lord. Meaning, you remember that love is shared abroad in your heart, and then you remember your nature and say, okay, Lord. And by the way, this kind of love is not a romantic love that you must have now exuberant feelings for the person. I mean, from the example of the Samaritan who is helping that guy lying on the street and being wounded, we learn that it is practical love, that when I see a brother or an enemy or whoever who is in a deep need and he can't help himself, but it's in my power to help, that I don't deny or refuse to give that help. And then my brother often uses to say, well, Angela, but then there's a third group. And finally, they are the people whom the Lord loves. And to me, these are people that you simply leave, and you find out if it's really truly your calling to carry them and to constantly allow them to be toxic and to be to kind of harm you and disappoint you. You must not go back to the place of torment, of manipulation, of abuse, but you can forgive from a distance and rather stay back and let them be.
Exactly, and I think what the result is of this conversation and this interview we've had with each other, and with sharing with you, what the result is. How do you deal with a toxic relationship? Well, first of all, to identify it, and you generally identify it because you know you're always left empty afterwards.
Exactly,
you're always left frustrated afterwards.
Yeah.
And secondly, to withdraw.
Yeah, that is important.
God's got this. He's got them.
Yeah.
He's got you, right?
Yeah.
Withdraw without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And in that, you find that it will come together again, but it's a withdrawal.
Maybe not. Well, it depends. There are sometimes relationships, especially between husband and wife, that sometimes maybe there is a separation forever, because if there's a constant abuse, you know, I don't believe in getting a reward in heaven only because you stay in a relationship that is ungodly from the beginning to the end. Remember that God hates divorce, but he loves you even more. So it's always first and foremost about you.
So the interesting thing is to withdraw, right? Move away. Let them carry on, right? And you will have a peace unimaginable.
Yeah.
Once you've come out of the guilt feeling.
Exactly.
Right? And so there's nothing wrong in withdrawing. Jesus withdrew from the Greeks that wanted to see him. There's nothing wrong with that. And so the beautiful thing is this. Watch yourself. Watch your relationships.
Yes. And let me just quote quickly from this proverb here. If we find ourselves in relationships with liars, cheaters, or abusers, our job isn't to get them to stop lying, stop cheating, stop abusing us, but our job is to leave. Because you're not going to change them. You're surely not. And your love is actually then even expressed in withdrawing, because your presence can even feed into
That's right.
that.
That's right. Withdraw.
Yes.
Right. And so we've got Danish Amanat. Says, I ask all my friends and God's people that I am very ill today and that I'm very sick. Pray for me. Now, it doesn't say the relationships made him sick, but I think that's...
No, he just wants
prayer.
prayer.
He wants prayer. Okay.
Danish,
so now, let's look at me right now, brother. I set you free through the cross of Calvary.
Amen.
I bring you his goodness, his mercy, his grace, his peace. I bring healing to you right now.
Hallelujah.
You are free. You are free. You are free. Not by that which you could do, but everything that he has done for you in Jesus' mighty name. Rise up, brother, and walk. Amen.
Amen.
So from
Hallelujah.
us to you, life and peace.
Peace.
Peace. Above all understanding.
In your relationships. Amen. Bye.
All right.